On Sunday, November 9, 2025, the Eastern District of New York, or EDNY, unsealed an indictment from November 5th that charged two, Emmanuel Clase de la Cruz and Luis Ortiz Rivera, with multiple charges in a scheme to rig bets on pitches thrown during Major League Baseball games. That's the indictment we're reading today, and welcome to Mimi Leaks. If you're new here, among other things, I read indictments so that you don't have to, but so that you know the charges that are being filed and the allegations that are presented. Also, as we go through the indictment, I will overlay video and photos of the particular pitch in question, as well as other key pieces of information so that you understand the full context. Please like, subscribe, feel free to share if you know somebody that would like this sort of content. Now then, let's get back to the indictment, starting with the introduction. The defendants, two MLB pitchers playing for the Cleveland Guardians, conspired with bettors to rig pitches in professional baseball games so that the bettors would profit from illegal wagers made based on that inside information. The defendants agreed in advance with their co-conspirators to throw specific types and speeds of pitches, and their co-conspirators used that inside information to place wagers on those pitches. In some instances, the defendants received bribes and kickback payments funneled through third parties in exchange for rigging pitches. Through this scheme, the defendants defrauded betting platforms, deprived MLB baseball and the Cleveland Guardians of their honest services, illegally enriched themselves and their co-conspirators, misled the public, and betrayed America's pastime. Relevant individuals and entities. 1. Major League Baseball and the defendant. MLB was a professional baseball league in North America composed of 30 teams, including the Cleveland Guardians, New York Mets, Minnesota Twins, Boston Red Sox, Cincinnati Reds, LA Dodgers, Seattle Mariners, and the St. Louis Cardinals. The defendant, Clase and Ortiz, were MLB players and pitchers on the Cleveland Guardians. Clase was a relief pitcher, Ortiz was a starting pitcher, both citizens of the Dominican Republic. MLB rules prohibit players from gambling on games in which they are involved. Specifically, Rule 21 provided that any player who shall bet any sum whatsoever upon any baseball game in connection with which the bettor has a duty to perform shall be declared permanently ineligible to play baseball professionally. MLB's sports betting policy further provided that, quote, MLB players may not ask others to place bets on their behalf, knowingly benefit financially from, or knowingly assist with bets placed by others, with limited exceptions for personal use, like time-sensitive text messages to a spouse. MLB rules also prohibit players from utilizing cell phones during games. Under the terms of their contracts with the Guardians, the defendants agreed to accept and abide by all MLB rules, including the prohibition on betting on baseball games and the in-game use of cellular telephones. Their contracts with the Guardians further provided that each player owed a duty of loyalty to the Guardians and pledged themselves to the American public and their team to conform to high standards of professional conduct, fair play, and good sportsmanship. 2. The betting platforms and the bettor co-conspirators. Betting Platform 1 and Betting Platform 2, collectively the betting platforms, entities the identities of which are known to the grand jury, were sportsbooks that operated online platforms and physical sportsbooks, usually located at casinos, that offered sports betting relating to, among other things, MLB games and individual players' performances in those games. Bets placed on an individual player's performance during a game rather than on the final outcome were a type of bet referred to as a proposition bet or a prop bet. I feel like my entire existence in terms of recording for the last few videos that I've put up have had to do with propaganda, proposition. So anyway, fitting with that theme, prop bet. For example, the betting platforms offered wagers that a specific pitch would be either a ball or a batter hit by pitch as opposed to a strike. In addition, the betting platforms also offered users the ability to place wagers on the speed of a given pitch, such as whether the pitch would be above 94.95 miles per hour, or the pitch speed. In addition, sportsbooks, like the betting platforms, offered parlay bet, which were wagers comprised of two or more individual bets. For a bettor to win a parlay, Each wager or leg within the parlay bet needed to win. If either leg lost, the entire parlay bet would lose. Because parlay bets required the bettor to win multiple bets, the payouts for winning parlay bets generally were higher than the payouts for winning single bets. All bettors wagering on the platforms were required to agree to their terms of use, which provided in some substance and in relevant part that users were prohibited from, first of all, wagering in connection with sports contests or individual players' statistical performances if the users had any access to pre-release, confidential information, or other information that was not available to all other wagerers, including any info provided by a professional athlete, such as non-public injury information, as well as placing bettors as an agent or a proxy for any individual other than the account holder. Bettor 1, whose identity is known to the grand jury, was a citizen of the Dominican Republic. Bettor 1 maintained accounts with both betting platforms and used the accounts to place wagers on the outcomes of pitches thrown by the defendant. Bettor 2, an individual who's also known to the grand jury and is also a citizen of the Dominican. And Bettor 2 maintained accounts in his name with both betting platforms. In addition, 2 directed individual 1, whose identity is known to the grand jury and resided in the Eastern District of New York, to open a second account on betting platform 1 on Bettor 2's behalf. Bettor 2 used all 3 of the accounts on the platforms to place wagers on the outcomes of pitches thrown by these defendants. Both Bettors 1 and 2 were also associated with other individuals who had accounts on the platforms and who used these accounts to place wagers on the outcome of pitches thrown by the defendants, collectively the bettors. From in or around May of 23 through June of 25, defendant Clase agreed with Bettor 1 and others to throw specific pitches in certain games so that the bettors and, at times, Clase would profit from illegal wagers based on that inside information. In or around June 25, defendant Ortiz joined the criminal scheme with Clase and agreed to throw specific pitches in certain games in exchange for money. Overall, the bettors won at least $450,000 from the betting platforms on pitches thrown by the two. 1. Fraudulent wagers associated with defendant Clase's pitches. Beginning in or around May of 23, defendant Clase agreed in advance with Bettor 1 on specific pitches that Clase would throw in certain MLB games. Usually, they agreed he would throw balls instead of strikes and slower slider pitches rather than faster cut fastball cutter pitches, and often on the first pitches of an at-bat when Clase was brought into a game as relief pitcher. With his knowledge and approval, Bettors 1 and 2 and other bettors used this information to place over 100 fraudulent pitch speed and ball/HPB straight bets and parlays on Clase's pitches on betting platforms. For example, in or around May 19, 2023, the Guardians played a game against the Mets. The game took place in the EDNY, and after receiving advanced information from the defendant, which is Clase, about a specific pitch that he intended to throw, Bettor 1 and several other bettors won approximately $27,000 on betting platform 2 by wagering that a pitch thrown by him would be faster than 94.95 miles per hour. Similarly, in or about June 3rd, Guardians played a game against the Twins after receiving advanced information from the defendant about a pitch that he intended to throw. Bettor 1 and several other bettors won $38,000 on platform 2 by placing multiple bets that a pitch thrown by him would be both a ball or HBP and would be slower than 94.95 miles an hour. And in another instance, on or about June 7th, 2023, the Cleveland Guardians played a game against the Red Sox. After receiving advanced information from defendant Clase about a pitch he intended to throw, Bettor 1 and the others won approximately $58,000 on platform 2 by placing multiple bets that Clase's pitch would be both a ball/HBP and would be slower than 94.95 miles an hour beginning in or around April of 2025 on several occasions. Clase requested and received bribe and kickback payments in exchange for agreeing to throw specific pitches. For example, on or around April 12th, after receiving advanced information from Clase about a pitch he intended to throw, bettor 1, several other bettors as well, won approximately $15,000 on Platform 2 by placing bets that his pitch would be, similarly as before, a ball or HBP and would be slower than 98.45 miles an hour. Clase threw it into the grass well before home plate, and that is included in the screenshot. The following day, on or about April 13th, defendant asked bettor 1 by text message which bettor had been able to wager anything. After bettor 1 responded in some substance, that bettor had bet and won money, and Clase directed him to, quote, send some of it to the DR, or Dominican Republic. Clase provided bettor 1 with contact information for a recipient for money and directed bettor 1 to send it as if it were someone else. Clase also told bettor 1 that the money was for repairs for the country house. As part of the scheme, defendant Clase used his cell phone in the middle of MLB games involving the Guardians, which is contrary to MLB rules, to coordinate with bettor 1. For example, on or about May 17, 2025, the Guardians played a game against the Reds. The game began at approximately 6:40 p.m. At approximately 8:24, Clase sent a text asking bettor 1 if they were ready, and bettor 1 responded, but of course. Approximately 10 minutes later, bettors 1, 2, and other bettors won approximately $10,000 on Platform 2 by placing multiple bets in a pitch thrown by Clase that would be both a ball/HBP and would be slower than 97.95 miles per hour and low to the dirt. A few days later, on about May 20th, the defendant sent bettor 1 a text message with bank account information and told him, quote, let me know when you send the thing. And bettor 1 responded, quote, I will start with $2,000. And then bettor 1 corresponded with associate of Clase in the DR, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury and is considered as Clase Associate 1 in the indictment. Associate 1 directed bettor 1 to send approximately $2,000 to an individual in the DR for Clase's benefit. It was also part of the scheme that Clase coordinated rigging pitches in person with bettor 1 at Clase's residence in Ohio. For example, on or about April 25th, 2025, bettor 1 traveled to Ohio and visited Clase at his residence. Clase obtained tickets to bettor 1 to attend the Guardians' MLB game the following day, which was April 26th, and against the Red Sox. The game began approximately at 1:10 p.m., and approximately 3:16, in the middle of the game, Clase sent a text message initiating a conversation with bettor 1. A few seconds later, Clase and bettor 1 had a phone call that lasted approximately 2 minutes. 4 minutes later, bettor 1 and several others won approximately $11,000 on Platform 2, wagering that a pitch thrown by Clase would be lower than 97.95 miles per hour. After the game on April 26th, bettor 1 visited Clase at his residence. Similarly, on May 11th of 25, bettor 1 traveled to Ohio and visited the defendant at his residence. Clase obtained tickets for bettor 1 to attend the game on May 11th. The same day after receiving advanced information from Clase, bettors 1, 2, and others won approximately $11,000 on Platform 2 by wagering that a pitch would be a ball/HBP. After that game, bettor 1 again visited Clase at his residence. It was also part of the scheme that on some occasions, Clase provided money to bettor 1 to wager on Clase's behalf on pitches thrown by Clase. For example, on or about May 13th, bettor 1 sent Clase a text message with a phone number and told him, quote, send it there if you can, but then also noted that, quote, if not, we can work with what we have. No problem. Clase responded, okay, and then asked, how much do I send? Bettor 1 replied, quote, however much you can, $2,500 and under, which Clase wrote back, okay, and then asked for the name of the individual on the account. Bettor 1 advised him of the individual's first name, and later that day, Clase electronically transferred approximately $2,500 to the individual with the same first name who subsequently transferred $2,500 to Better One. That same day, after receiving advanced information from the defendant about a pitch he intended to throw, the bettors won $3,500 on betting platform 2 by placing multiple bets that a pitch thrown by Clase would be both a ball/HBP and slower than 99.45 miles an hour. After the game, Better One again visited Clase at his residence. To generate larger returns on fraudulent pitches, one and the other bettors often placed parlay bets on the platforms in which one leg of the parlay bets were fraudulent pitches thrown by defendant Clase. For example, between 23 and 25, Better One placed approximately 16 parlays, in which one leg of each was that 8 specific pitches by Clase would be a ball/HBP. Better One was successful in betting on approximately 7 of the 8 pitches, and on the 8th, Better One was only unsuccessful because the batter swung at a pitch thrown by Clase that was outside the strike zone. Specifically, on or about May 28th, the Guardians played an MLB game against the Dodgers. The game began approximately 1:10 p.m., and before the game, at 1 o'clock, Better One sent a text message to the defendant confirming whether he was all set. Clase responded yes. And approximately 3:36 p.m., in the middle of the game, Better One and 2 placed wagers totaling approximately $4,000, including a parlay bet that a pitch would be thrown by Clase and would be a ball/HBP. Clase threw a pitch that appeared to be a ball, but the batter swung, resulting in a strike and leading Better One and 2 to lose their wagers. Approximately 20 minutes after Better One lost that wager, they sent a text message to the defendant, and it was a image of a man hanging himself with toilet paper. Even though the Guardians won the game, approximately 10 minutes later, Clase responded to Better One with an image of a sad puppy dog face. Overall, between those 2 years, the bettors, collectively, won at least $400,000 from the platforms on pitches thrown by defendant Clase. 2. Fraudulent wagers associated with defendant Ortiz's pitches. On or around June 2025, defendant Ortiz joined the criminal scheme with defendant Clase and the bettors. Ortiz agreed to throw balls instead of strikes on certain pitches in exchange for bribes or kickbacks. Clase coordinated with Ortiz and Better One, who in turn coordinated with other bettors. For his role in coordinating between Ortiz and Better One, Clase requested and received money. On or about June 15th, the defendant Ortiz was scheduled to be the starting pitcher in an MLB game between the Cleveland Guardians and the Mariners, which is called the June 15th game. Before the June 15th game, Ortiz agreed that in exchange for approximately $5,000, Ortiz would throw a ball for his first pitch in the second inning of the June 15th game, which is subject pitch 1. Clase further agreed with Better One that Clase would receive approximately $5,000, $10,000 in total for both Ortiz and Clase, for arranging subject pitch 1 with Ortiz. The June 15th game was scheduled to start at approximately 4:10 p.m. Beginning at approximately 1:40 p.m., Better One sent text messages to the defendant, Clase, asking him, "How are we doing?" and "Everything under control there?" The two then had a brief telephone call. Shortly thereafter, beginning at approximately 3:30 p.m., Better One and Better Two placed several wagers totaling approximately $13,000 on the betting platforms that subject pitch 1 would be a ball. Pitch 1 was indeed a ball, leading to a payout of approximately $26,000 for the two. Shortly thereafter, or on or about June 16th, Better One corresponded with Clase Associate One, who directed Better One to electronically transfer approximately $10,000 in smaller increments to multiple individuals in the Dominican Republic. Shortly thereafter, defendant Clase sent a text message to Better One, noting that he, quote, "said you were going to do it today, but you didn't tell me anything," referring to the transfer of the $10,000 bribe in payments for Clase and Ortiz. Better One responded, "Everything's there already." Later the same day, Ortiz sent a text to Clase asking him, quote, "Tell me what the guy from the thing told you." Clase responded, quote, "They receive it tomorrow and I'll place it over there," referring to the initial receipt of the $10,000 in bribe payments by multiple individuals in the DR and his intent to subsequently transfer those funds into the ultimate custody of the two pitchers. On or about June 18th, Ortiz sent text messages to Clase regarding Ortiz's receipt of money for throwing subject pitch 1. Ortiz sent Clase a photograph of an ID card for an individual in the DR who's considered Ortiz Associate 1, an individual whose identity is known to the grand jury, and told Clase, quote, "Clase, tell them to put the 90,000 pesos there are and to keep the other ones. Keep the 200 and the 90 to that person today, please." On or about June 19th, Defendant Clase sent Defendant Ortiz a photograph of a receipt for a wire transfer of approximately 90,000 pesos from Clase Associate 1 to Ortiz Associate 1, as well as an audio message directing Ortiz to cause his associates in the DR to lie about the purpose of the funds Ortiz was receiving if asked the following. They're going to ask him, "What is that payment for over there?" Tell him that this is a payment for a horse. Payment for a horse. You got that? Ortiz responded, "Okay, perfect." On or about June 27th, Ortiz was scheduled to be the starting pitcher in a game between the Guardians and Cardinals, considered the June 27th game. Before the June 27th game, Ortiz agreed with Clase that in exchange for approximately $7,000, Ortiz would throw a ball for his first pitch in the third inning of that game, which is subject pitch 2. Clase further agreed with Better One that if Clase would receive approximately $7,000 or $14,000 total from both defendants for arranging subject pitch 2 with Ortiz. Clase also obtained tickets for Better One to attend the June 27th game. As part of the scheme, on or about June 27th, before that game, as captured by bank security camera footage, Defendant Clase withdrew approximately $50,000 in cash. He provided approximately $15,000 of the cash to Better One to use to wager on subject pitch 2. About 1 hour later, as captured by bank security camera footage, Better One deposited the $15,000 from the branch bank, the same one that Clase withdrew the $50,000. In advance of the start of the June 27th game, the bettors wagered approximately $18,000 on platforms that subject pitch 2 would be a ball. Subject pitch 2 was a ball, leading to the payout of approximately $37,000. Overall, in June of 25, the bettors won at least $60,000 from the platforms on pitches thrown by Defendant Ortiz. Counts, of which there are 4. Between May 2023 and June 2025, defendants and others knowingly and intentionally conspired to defraud betting platforms and obtain money and property from these platforms using false pretenses, misrepresentations, and promises in order to execute the scheme through wire communication in interstate and foreign commerce writings, signs, pictures, and sounds, and that first count being for wire fraud conspiracy. Count 2 is for honest services wire fraud conspiracy. States between April and June of 25, defendants and others conspire to defraud the Guardians and MLB through bribery and kickbacks to the defendants. This involved wire communications in interstate and foreign commerce for the scheme. Count 3, conspiracy to influence sporting contests by bribery, charges that for the same time period, defendants and others carried out a scheme in commerce to influence by bribery sporting contests, knowing the purpose of the scheme was to influence bribery within MLB games with the Guardians. Count 4 is for money laundering, and it's for the same time period, and states that defendants and others conspired to conduct financial transactions that affected interstate and foreign commerce and transactions. This involved financial institutions engaged in and whose activities affect interstate and foreign commerce, with transactions from unlawful activities. These included sports bribery conspiracy, as well as wire fraud, as defendants knew. The proceeds involved unlawful activity designed to conceal the nature, location, source, and control of proceeds of the specified unlawful activities. Criminal forfeiture allegations as to counts 1 to 3 state the U.S. hereby gives notice to defendants that any conviction of counts 1 through 3 will result in the government seeking forfeiture of real or personal property related to proceeds obtained as a result of these offenses. If any above described property as a result of any action by the defendants cannot be located, has been transferred or placed beyond court jurisdiction, has substantially diminished in value, or is commingled with other property that cannot reasonably be divided, It is the intent of the United States to seek forfeiture of other property of the defendants of the same value. Criminal forfeiture as to count 4 gives notice that upon conviction of count 4, the government will seek similar forfeitures. If, for the same reasons already stated, the government cannot obtain these forfeitures, they will seek that of other property of the same value. And this has been signed by the jury foreperson and U.S. Attorney for the EDNY. Ortiz was released on a $500,000 bond after his first court appearance, which took place in Boston. Clase was arrested at JFK Airport after returning from the Dominican Republic and was arraigned in Brooklyn and released on a $600,000 bond. So there you have it. There's the indictment. What are your thoughts? Would love to hear them. In the meantime, please remember to like, subscribe, and until next time, stay safe.